Remember that one time Mike Tyson beat the ear of his opponent and that scene became one of the most memorable ones in the history of sports? Yup, that is the guy we're going to talk about today. In this video, I will tell you all about the life of the controversial bad boy from Brooklyn and how he lost all his fortune just like a champion. Michael Gerald Tyson was born on June 30th, 1966 in Brooklyn, New York, United States. Although his biological parents were Lorna and Parcel, Mike always considered the former baseball player Jimmy Kirkpatrick his real dad, despite the fact that he abandoned his mother and him along with his older brother and sister when Tyson was born. As a result, Lorna was left in charge of her 3 children, so she found herself in need of moving to Brownville, one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in New York, where a 10-year-old Mike with no father figure around became a part of the street culture. During those hard years, Mike joined several gangs and always used his fist as a way to handle the life he had to face. During an interview, Tyson declares that he remembers one of his first fights with a young man who was a little bit bigger than him perfectly, probably because he had ripped off the head of his chick. Although it is hard to believe, the strong Mike of today suffered from bullying mostly because of his shrill voice and interdental lisp, a type of problem that prevents you from pronouncing some words correctly. Due to multiple conflicts he was always involved with, in 1978 Mike was sent to a reformatory, where he met Bobby Stewart, a social worker at the institute and a boxing fan. Stewart immediately noticed Tyson's boxing skills, so he decided to connect him with the famous boxing coach. Stewart immediately noticed Tyson's boxing skills, so he decided to connect him with the famous boxing coach Cus D'Amato, who became his legal guardian after the death of his mother in 1982 when Mike was only 16 years old. In his autobiography, Tyson remembers that his mother was never proud of him because besides being always involved in gang fights, he used to come home with new clothes, which she knew perfectly well that he had not paid a single penny for. According to Mike, that is something that never affected his professional life, but it had considerable emotional effects. During the 80s, Mike dedicated himself to perfecting his striking technique thanks to the experience of his coach, and at the age of 20, on November 22nd, 1986, he became the youngest champion of the heavyweights in the history. From that moment on, the boxing world never forgot his name. However, to his own misfortune, this was not only due to his victories in fights, but also his private life and the scandal surrounding it. In 1988, Mike married actress Robin Givens, but after barely a year, the boxer was accused of domestic violence and emotional instability. And let's not forget that the former boxer found his wife in the same bed with Brad Pitt while they were still in the process of divorce. This was only the first of many other accusations against him. In 1991, he was found guilty of abusing an inspiring beauty queen and was sent to prison for 4 years. Once he served his time in 1995, Tyson tried to return to the ring and clear up his image. Although somehow he was focused on it for a couple of years, on June 28, 1997, during his fight against Evander Holyfield, he was disqualified after having tried to bite off a piece of his ear, and his boxing license was cancelled until January 1999. However, on February 6th, barely a month later, Tyson was sentenced to 1 year in prison, 2 years of probation, and 200 hours of community service, in addition to paying a $2,500 fine after being found guilty of assaulting 2 older men during a road fight. That is just bizarre. Although he was eventually released a few months later and continued his boxing career, his image turned into an extremely unbalanced man, violent, unable to control his impulses, and also the addicted one, which led him to his downfall. Mike got his last professional victory in February 2003, having knocked out his opponent Clifford Etienne 49 seconds into the first round, but that success ended later that year when Tyson filed for bankruptcy with almost $40 million debt, meaning he lost $400 million that he had earned throughout his career, and which took him on the list of the highest paid boxers in the history. How did that happen? How can someone end a fortune of $400 million in just a few years? Tyson's eccentric taste was for sure the reason behind it, and something extraordinary. For example, he spent about $4.5 million on cars and motorcycles, 19 of which were purchased as a gift for his loved ones, about $100,000 monthly on clothing and jewelry, more or less $125,000 every year for the salary of the ones that were working for him, $230 on service, about $240 monthly on various desires and on his day-to-day life, $300,000 for gardening, and not less than about $400,000 on chicks, one of his favorite pets, and on some cats like Bengal tiger and white Siberian tiger. What a way to waste money. As if that were not enough, in his autobiography, Mike tells how he once found several $1,000s inside a basket of his dirty laundry that he had hidden 2 years after he had given up on finding it. But well, an incident like that is not very surprising when it comes to a person who bought his first wife out of 3, Robin Givens, a golden bathtub with a value of $2 million only as a Christmas gift. I mean, what did we get as Christmas gifts? Socks? Despite all of this, Mike is a personality both in sports and in the show industry. So thanks to his multiple appearances in commercials, interviews, documentaries, TV shows, and other advertising campaigns, according to some resources, his fortune, according to the latest report this year, is estimated at $3 million. Not 400, but it is better than nothing, right? Did you know the things that I just mentioned about Mike Tyson's life? I wonder if there's something else that I'm missing.